welcome to the Fashion Grunge Podcast. I am your host, Lauren, and today Jai is with me again, and we are going to be reviewing the amazing 1996 film Romeo and Juliet, directed by Baz Luhrmann. I'm really excited. Say hey, Jai.
Hi.
It's always really hard to prompt an intro, I'm sure.
I think I'm just so excited that it took me a while to digest.
Yeah, I mean, we decided to watch this because, it was on it's on Stars right now. If you have Hulu, you can sign up for a free trial for a week. So I saw that it was on there, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do this movie. So I was like, okay, we have to do it. So now we're going to do Romeo and Juliet, which is crazy because I always think about it, and then I think about, a lot of people either don't talk about this enough, so I'm glad that it was available that we could watch it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, rewatched it because I've seen it like 10 times, so.
Cool. So let's go into it. What are your overall thoughts with the film? Like, or maybe should we even go into like, what are you doing now? Like, I'm on actually day 19, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's the chit chat on what life is, and then we'll get into the movie. What are you up to?
Well, today was meant to be my beauty day, not all day, but a few hours. But then I just had things to do like cleaning, and you can get quite obsessed with cleaning, and I can anyway. But yeah, so honestly, nothing has changed since last week. I don't think. I'm still doing the same, just trying to have a routine and catching up with a lot of people on video calls. Drinking as much wine as last week. Eating more. That's the newest thing. The only thing that's changed. I'm definitely eating way more than last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel that last week I was more disciplined, and the week before I had more discipline really, and now I'm like, I just need to grab a snack, and an hour later I'm just gonna get some more, and yeah, it's not cool. I'm gonna be really fat by the end of this pandemic.
No, you're not. I mean, who cares? I feel like that might actually help you in this case.
Help me?
I don't know, it might help your immune system. I don't know. Like, everyone can stand to gain, 10 pounds from it, so I don't think anyone should be freaking out. We'll be fine. I feel like I'm glad that we at least so far have food. That seemed like I would be more worried if there wasn't food and people were not being able to eat. So I guess I'm trying to find the silver lining in it, and when everything opens back up, then I'll just become one of those exercise people. Maybe this will turn the tide, because I'm not an exercise person at all, and maybe this will turn the tide, and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I can go out now, I'm going to go running, every day now.
Maybe, you never know.
Yeah, so maybe this, there's some kind of silver lining to everything, I guess you could say.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, go on.
Sorry, we're talking at the same time.
Every podcast I'm listening to, you said other people are recording it this way, I feel like a lot of shows now are like this because everyone's kind of forced into remote. So it's hard.
That was because I can't see you, so I'm thinking, is she about to say something, or is it my turn? I can't really see you.
Even then, because I tried it once, but the thing is, if your internet lags even 2 or 3 seconds, you'll still end up stepping on people's words unless you have a crazy fast connection that's real time and HD. But I feel like if there's a slight delay, you'll still end up it'll still be 2 or 3 seconds where you're like, what? Oh, okay. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, I'll try to pause a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing serious journalism here, people. We're talking about a movie. We're trying to have fun, so we're trying to pass the time. So, we're not running a news organization. So I guess we're not going to take ourselves too seriously here. But have you watched anything?
What have you been up to then?
I've been watching Tiger King. I can't even tell you. I really wish I could turn this podcast into a Tiger King. friggin' podcast because I am literally riveted and I would love to talk about it all the time. And maybe in some crazy way, or maybe if there ends up being some kind of bonus section, like I'd love for people to have me review Tiger King because I have so many fucking thoughts. Like, I
mean, I think you have to do it, even if it's not 90s. I feel that you can make an exception because it is such an insane show. You can't even make that up. You can't.
No.
It's so absurd and crazy that it would make, if it was a film and you were watching it, you would think that this is like a terrible movie because it's all so fake and ridiculous, you know?
How far have you gotten?
I'm on that episode where one of the husbands dies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just don't know. I shouldn't say that because I don't know if people are listening and they're going to be like,
they don't know who. I'm just going to say that's it. If you haven't seen it, then we won't talk about it anymore. But maybe we'll do like a special episode recap when you finish it.
Yes, please come.
I don't even know how I could do it. I feel like in every episode, there's just every 5 minutes, I'm just like, what? Wait.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Can we just take a moment to like talk about fashion? Because that show is just mental. Like,
it's so mental.
What everyone is wearing. I'm telling you, if it was a movie, you would be like, who came up with this? Like, who's the costume designer for the show?
Yeah. Oh, easy.
It's just crazy. It almost feels like it was like arranged to look that way. And like,
yeah.
Oh gosh. I mean, that lady, the woman.
Oh, Carol.
She was so animal print.
Like, her bike is animal print. Like, her bicycle is animal print. It's crazy. Like, we'll have to do one. We might just have to do one just for shits and giggles because it'll just be a bonus episode because there's just too much to talk about. And, yeah. But, yeah, everyone should watch Tiger King. I'm sure it's out on Netflix, like, all over the world at this point, I'm sure. I don't think it's just the States. But yeah, so, we'll go into Romeo and Juliet because, they kind of are a little similar. There's a little outlandish kind of a visual language to this film too, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But let's just start overall. And Jai, what are your overall thoughts of the film? Like, what's your history with it? When did you first see it and everything?
I was 13 and I watched it with my friends and my sister after school. I obviously was too young to be much of a film critic then, but I just remember thinking, like, being so mesmerized by the version, like that version of the film. Because I saw the 60s one, like when I was younger as well. I watched that one, and then obviously you know the novel, so just like to see a modern version of it, and with Leonardo DiCaprio, I was just like totally in love with him. So, like, I'm sure every girl was. But yeah,
the funny thing is I don't think at that point in '96, Leo was on his way to becoming a heartthrob, but it wasn't until Titanic that literally everyone knew his name.
Yeah.
He like, people knew about him. He was on the way, but he wasn't like the Leo that we know now, or like the Leo that we know like 2 years after this. It was like, oh my God, Titanic.
But I think that obviously I've seen so many films with Leo like by then. Like, I was really good up with him, but obviously he looked amazing in the film. And I feel, I'm not sure if it was this film or Titanic that just, that's when his life changed pretty much. I think it was Romeo and Juliet. I think he said that after he shot these, like, his life just wasn't the same because he was just like, being followed by paparazzi everywhere, and he knew that was like a turning point.
Yeah, I definitely think it was like within those years, like the Romeo and Juliet Titanic years.
Yeah.
At least I know for as a fan, I feel like a lot of people didn't know who he was until Titanic. I'm sure in Hollywood, like people, I mean, because lots of people saw Romeo and Juliet, but I feel like in that way, I feel like he was more of like he became more of a heartthrob to everyone in Titanic. Yeah. Everyone saw that. It wasn't like so specific. Like this was very like, you know, Shakespeare. So it wasn't like everyone saw it, but yeah.
But so yeah, obviously Leo was a huge part of it. Like my sister and I were totally in love with him, and also I think the music was so cool, and it was all the bands that we were into and like we were listening to then. So I think that was like another huge part of the film. Yeah, I mean I loved it, and I've seen it about 10 times. Like last time I watched it was 2 months ago on a plane as well somewhere.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. What about you?
It's kind of, almost exactly the same thing. Like I was 13. I was in seventh grade, of school, and we were learning about Romeo and Juliet, learning about Shakespeare in school. And we saw the 1960s one, and we were all like, I mean, it's okay, but as to a 13-year-old, that 60s one is not riveting. Yeah, you know, it's very much like a play, like going to see an old play. And then when this film was coming out, there was a lot of promotion about it. And then when it came out, we went to go see it in the theater. Not my class, but like we were to go and then kind of write about the adaptation. So I wrote about it in school, and I just became obsessed. Like I just became obsessed with Shakespeare in general. Like I started reading a lot of Shakespeare. And like at a pretty young age, I just got really into it because of this film. And I think this kind of, I don't know if this, because I'd seen a few other films before this. I think I started really watching films when I was like maybe 11 or 12. I had like a friend who had some older siblings who would be like, hey, watch this tape. It's really cool. And it would be like weird. Like my friend gave me Annie Hall, the Woody Allen movie Annie Hall, when I was really young. And I was like, this is really weird. But he was like, you have to see it. It's like the greatest film ever. I didn't understand it. And then of course I watched it like years later when I was 17, and it became like one of my favorite films. But it was like, I started watching a lot of movies, but this was just unlike anything I'd ever seen. And then learning about it in school, I was like, wow, the colors, like the visuals, everything. So I just became obsessed. And obviously, the music, they used to play on the radio all the time. They used to play that Garbage song.
Oh my God, yeah, Crush, right?
Yeah, So I was like, oh, this is so cool. So yeah, that's kind of, I was almost the same as you. Like I was just really super into it. And yeah, I just loved it. I still to this day have only seen Titanic once and will never watch it again. It's probably one of the worst films I've ever seen. And I don't get the appeal. I was always kind of mad that everybody was like, oh, Leonardo DiCaprio from Titanic. I was like, he just did Shakespeare. Like Titanic is bullshit.
I think because it was more mainstream. It was a huge production, really big actors, and like, I think, I don't know, like people love that film. It's crazy. Yeah. And that song by Celine Dion was played everywhere for years.
Everywhere.
For years. It was like number one. I don't know. Like,
yeah. It's a big deal. That's so crazy. Yeah, we had kind of a similar experience with it.
Yeah.
Well, I have some director. I looked up Baz Luhrmann, the director, and like some production notes about it, because I always find that really interesting. So Baz Luhrmann is Australian director. His first film is Strictly Ballroom, which was released in '92, which I have not seen, but I think it's an Australian film. Have you seen it?
I have not. No.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't either. I try to look for it, but I think it might be a hard one to find. I'll have to look again. But he has worked again with Leonardo DiCaprio in 2013 on The Great Gatsby, which I think if you've seen The Great Gatsby, which I've seen once.
I've seen it 3 times.
Oh, okay, great. You can definitely see the director's eye, for sure. I mean, he definitely has that very glossy, very like bright, colorful type, you know, I guess eye or visual language when it comes to his movies.
Yeah,
He's done, yeah, he did Australia with Nicole Kidman, and like I think it was like Hugh Jackman. He did that. He did Moulin Rouge, which I did not see. I wasn't really like into. I wasn't really like, I guess, interested in seeing it. Like I'm still not. But I've seen little clips and definitely the same kind of style, like very vibrant. Have you seen Moulin Rouge?
I have. I've actually seen a lot of his films, like the show that he did, one of them. I did not like Moulin Rouge because it's just like a musical, like too much musical, and I don't like musicals. And I don't really like a lot of the people in it. Like, I don't care about Christina Aguilera. I don't care. She's not in it. Sorry, she did the soundtrack. She's in
that song. Yeah, I was gonna say she did that song.
I did not like that song. I never did. Like, I just never got into her. And then there was just a lot of actors that I didn't really care for. I just didn't really like. It was not appealing to me in any way. But I watched it like probably twice. I thought I'd give it another go, but I didn't like it. I love The Great Gatsby, and I like Australia as well. It was a good film. But did you see The Get Down? Did you watch that?
No, I started it, but it didn't grab me.
Oh, I really liked it. Yeah. It's weird. There is a lot of that aspect, like kind of musical vibe to it, but it's really good. I just really loved it. But I didn't know that it was him, actually. Like, I just watched it, and I only found that, like, recently that it was Baz Luhrmann.
Cool.
Yeah. But did you know that he did that number 5 ad with Nicole Kidman?
The Chanel?
Number 5, yeah. Do you remember that? It was definitely, like, being played at the cinema, like, in, like, before the film, like, kind of, like a really long, it was like a really long ad. I can't remember. Yeah, I'm sure I've seen it. Or maybe it was played on TV, but I don't really recall that. It's like really famous, and it's kind of like in New York on a rooftop, and it's really over the top, like really cinematic, very similar vibe to Moulin Rouge.
Oh, okay. I'll look it up. Yeah,
it's like Nicole Kidman is like obviously like famous and a celebrity, and this guy is like really beautiful. It's like really famous actor, and it's just like a number 5 Chanel ad, but it was like so expensive. It was like 33 million.
What?
The budget, Chanel actually had a budget of 33 million. It's not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, and you didn't know that I didn't know it was by him, but then when you watch it, you're like, oh yeah, I totally see his style in it as well. So yeah, that's quite cool. You should watch it. I mean, it's really over the top and very like...
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
It's quite cool. And did you know that he was like a creative consultant for the Met Gala?
Oh, which one?
I don't know. Like, I couldn't find... Like, I couldn't really find which one he was involved. I'm guessing or assuming that he was involved with several, like, or in several Met Galas, maybe.
Oh, cool.
But I know he was, like, one of 2 or 3 creative consultants for it.
Oh, that's cool.
Which sort of makes sense because, you know, like, you will want someone like him on board for that because his imagination, his eye and style is just so cool. So yeah.
Cool. Well, and in mentioning what the budget was for that Nicole Kidman commercial or for the Chanel commercial, the budget for Romeo and Juliet was only $14.5 million, which I think was pretty incredible.
That's
crazy. Granted, that is 1996, so there is like a period of inflation. Like, I'm sure maybe now that would translate to like a lot more, but I still think that that's very modest for what they were able to do. It looked like it was like $500 million. I mean, it looked super expensive. The way, like, everything, like the sets, the clothes, I mean, everything, the cars.
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, it's a bit of both because I feel like all the stuff, all the scenes that were filmed on the beach were kind of really low key. Like, I don't think that cost much, you know? I think it's more
probably not.
the ballroom or like the big party, the fancy dress party, that obviously was like a huge production because all the costumes and, you know, but I think the fact that it was shot in like Mexico and like other places is like it was probably really cheap to do, you know?
Yeah, well, I have here, it made $147 million on $14 million, so that's pretty awesome.
That's crazy.
They made like a good amount of money. And then I saw the first scene that Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes filmed was that morning after scene, which is so crazy to know that is what they filmed first. But I read that the like whole team and like production and everything really wanted them to film that first because after that type of scene, it's like everything else is going to be really easy to do. So I feel like that makes sense that if you do kind of like a love scene or any kind of passionate scene that you're probably really anxious about, if it's midway through shoot or if it's at the end, if you get it out in the beginning, I'm sure like your chemistry works a lot better just throughout the whole film. So I don't know if that's a technique that actors or directors do a lot.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, it definitely does make sense. And you kind of want to spend the most time. I don't know. I feel like you shoot the hardest part at the beginning. Yeah, it makes sense.
And also, Leo was the only pick for Romeo, and there was never any like audition process. And he actually helped finance a trip to Sydney to talk to, like, paid his own way to talk to Baz Luhrmann about the project, and actually created a kind of video for the Sydney Acting Commission or whatever they needed in order to gain funding. So Leo was like really behind this project from the beginning.
Oh,
and
wow.
he got a lot of the actors really excited to come onto the project because he was attached and because he personally like really wanted to do it, which I thought was really great. And another great little Jai tidbit, Baz Luhrmann personally asked Radiohead to compose exit music for a film, the film that's in the ending credits. I had no idea. I had no idea that he asked him to do that. And apparently talk show hosts, the song that you hear, I think 2 or 3 times in the film, I didn't know was a B-side of another song.
B-side of the band, it is.
Yeah, that's so cool that it was a B-side and then it got, really, really known, after that.
Yeah, and I love that exit for film is like included in like OK Computer, that's really cool. Because I feel like sometimes when artists make songs for films, obviously they're like just the soundtrack. They're not part of their albums, but it's cool. It's really cool.
And also I wanted to give just a little shout out to Donald McAlpine, who's the cinematographer, because the cinematography and the costume designer, her name's Kim Barrett. That was her first film she ever did costume on.
Oh, wow. That's
crazy.
Amazing.
Isn't that amazing? Her name's Kim Barrett. She's Australian. And after that, she did the Matrix costumes. Like, look her up. She's legit. She does a lot of really dope films now. But I can't believe that Romeo and Juliet was her first, because this film is, you even see now people are doing collections based on this film, based on so that's pretty amazing.
It is. It's so cool. I'd love to know her creative process to do the costumes, because it doesn't, obviously, it's not just like a modern version of the novel. It's just a completely different thing. It's just like separate. It's not like they try to recreate something and did 60s or 60s style or whatever. They just created everything. So I do wonder what they base the costumes on. What was it?
Well, have a bit of information on that when we get to that, when we get to talking about the fashion and everything. But I'll link it in the notes. There's a really interesting article on ID from a few years ago where her and I think the production designer, who's also a woman, they talk about like their costume inspirations. And I have a few notes on that too. And also another interesting thing is the next Baz Luhrmann project that's supposed to be coming out in 2021, although who knows now, is an Elvis biopic, and Timothée Chalamet is playing Elvis. So that's...
Yeah, I heard about it.
That's in the pipeline, apparently.
Yeah. Let's see, you know. He's like young.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
I'm not, like, super impressed or, like, you know.
With Timothée Chalamet?
Yeah, he's fine, but I feel like there's such a big buzz about him. Like...
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast. That's like an unpopular opinions podcast because I have an issue with people comparing him to Leo. I was like, no. I don't think so.
It's not his fault, obviously, but it is really annoying when the industry makes that kind of comparison. They're like, the new whatever, you know, like, it's so lazy that people just can't describe someone, like, as a separate thing, and they always have to say, oh, this is like the young version of whatever actor of,
Mm-hmm. But he's not like, I don't think he's like Leo at all. I think
he's not.
It's like 25 years later. I mean, the films are different. I mean, everything, the content's different. I mean, everything's just really different now. So I feel like I think they just mean like heartthrob, like girls are all over him, just like girls were all over Leonardo DiCaprio when he came out. So, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, but, well, moving on to the whole vibe and themes and fashion and music and everything. So what do you like? What are your favorite fashion moments and everything?
Fashion. Well, there's so much, but, I honestly just love that, I love the costumes that, the mom wears. Well, the costume that the mom wear at the party, that Cleopatra's outfit.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's just so, like, I love to wear something like that. It's just, like, sequin and embellished. Just, like, really, really cool. But I actually really love Pivot's outfit as well.
The devil or the one in the beginning where he's wearing all black?
The one at the party. I mean, he just looks great, honestly, in every scene. Like, I love what he wears, but I love his outfit at the party. It's just so sleek, and, you know, you're not really used to seeing men wearing, like, fitted clothes like that, but with that looking sort of, I don't know. It's just really stylish and really sleek.
I have a note about...
What?
I was going to say, I have a note about John Leguizamo in, like, talking about the actors in it. And I was super impressed with John Leguizamo in general in the film.
It was amazing.
I did not expect that from him because I think I'd seen, like, some kind of, like, funny, like, weird movie that he did before that. And I was just like, I didn't think he was a serious, like, a dramatic actor. I thought he did more comedy and things like that. And I was just really impressed by him in general. But I do love Tybalt's outfit. I love how he's supposed to be Juliet's, like, first cousin and looks absolutely nothing like her. I was like, well, I don't think they would be in the same family tree. But, I mean, and compared to the other, like, Capulets that he hangs out with, I was like, this doesn't look like Juliet's family. That's the only, like, kind of casting weird there.
Yeah,
but.
no, I think, I mean, it's just, I just love that. I think it's so different from anything else that you've seen or you had seen at the time. And I feel like I have quite a lot of notes on that, on the fashion just in general. Like Prada and Dolce & Gabbana made a lot of the costumes. And like,
yeah, it's so cool. And
I feel like you can really see it without even knowing. Like, I feel that, you know, the priest, he has this like white, I feel like he wears it like pretty much most of the film. He has this sort of obviously white tunic, but the middle is embellished. It's like a heart.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And like embellished, and I feel like when you see that, you think, oh, that's so Dolce and Gabbana in the 90s, because that's what they were doing. Remember Madonna? They were making a lot of Madonna's costumes and like for shows.
Oh, cool.
And it was all that. Yeah, but it's funny actually, because you would think that the shirts, the Hawaiian shirts, were Dolce & Gabbana, but actually they weren't. They were Prada. Prada did that.
Cool. They did custom, right? It was like custom stuff that you could buy. Yeah.
And she also did the wedding suit, Leo's wedding suit.
Did she do Juliet's dress, like the white dress?
Yeah, she did that, and also the angels. No, actually, that's a lie. The corset that she wears at the party, that's Dolce, actually.
Oh, cool.
Her wedding dress was Prada, and all the. I think basically how they broke it down was that Prada focused on the Montague family, like on all the Hawaiian shirts and all understated kind of pieces. And then Dolce & Gabbana did the Capulets family. Like, they did all that, like, velvet and, like, leather. All the embellished pieces, which is really cool, you know?
That's really cool.
Having, like, big designers is so cool.
Yeah, like, aside from the fashion, like, my two standard, like, I mean, I'm obviously against, like, guns in general, but I love the guns. Like, the guns, I'm against, not guns in general, but I'm against, like, glamorizing them for, like, what they do. But just the aesthetics of the guns in the film and how they're called swords, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I know. It's
Mercutio's gun, where you can see that open magazine and you just see all the bullets lined up, and it's, like, silver when he sticks it in the sand. I think when he goes and fights Tybalt, and you see him, like, throw the gun in, and it says, like, it's something, I forgot the name that's on his, but it's, like, a crazy one. And then in the beginning, when they have the gunfight at the gas station, and all of them have, like, the Virgin Mary, like, on the side handle, whatever that's called. I don't know what it's called. I'm not a gun person, but there's the side part, and it had, like, the Virgin Mary, and then underneath they had their, like, the seal, like, their family crest and their name. So you could see, like, Capulets or Montague. I thought that was cool. And I love those fast cuts, too, that they do. He did it more in the beginning. I feel like that's very, like, Scorsese. Those, like, super fast cuts that he was just, like, cutting really fast, and you would see, like, the gun really quick, and then you would scan over really fast, and then you'd see something else, or their eyes, like, just their eyes. Like, he was very much into the, like, really quick cuts that I like a lot. But that seems very Scorsese-like. Like, Scorsese does that a lot. I don't know if maybe there's another director who did it before Scorsese, but I feel it's a very, like, Scorsese thing. But the guns and the cars, I love.
The cars, oh gosh,
so cool. They're all variations of cars that we kind of have, but, like, Romeo's car wasn't. That was a kind of different car, but then Tybalt's car was like an old Monte Carlo, like an old 80s Monte Carlo. I used to be really into cars in high school, so I was, like, really into cars, like street racing and the whole nine. That's a whole other podcast, but I was, like, really, really into the cars when I first saw it too. I was like, oh my god, these cars are so sweet, and just everything. I love the other things about it, like the guns and the cars and, like, the clothes and, just the side. Their locations are so cool. And
amazing.
Did you recognize any places now that you watched it over? And I was like, they filmed it in Mexico City.
Yeah, it's so weird because I definitely knew that, but I think I just forgot about it. And I feel that I rewatched it yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. It's so obvious that it's in Mexico City. Like,
it's so cool.
I think, like, other cities, obviously, like in Brazil, are similar. Like, they're kind of hectic and really busy, and, like, you can really see, like, in fact, there's a really famous building. It's like a tower. It's called Latin American Tower, and you can see it briefly when they're shooting like from a helicopter and stuff.
Oh, cool.
That statue that is in there, so I don't know how they do that really. You know that.
Oh, that's not.
No, I don't know if that was like. I wonder how they did that really, because I mean it's possible they built it and they just had it there throughout filming, but that's not an actual. That's not real, and it's not an actual
circle. Like a circle. And there's like the big. It looks like the one in Brazil. Is it like the Redeemer?
Yeah, it looks like
Redeemer.
Yeah, it looks like the one in Brazil, but I don't know. Maybe I need to look into it and see if I can find any info about it. But yeah, and then there is that castle. It's called Chapultepec Castle. It's sort of in the middle of a park in Mexico, and it used to be. It's quite old, and it used to be like presidential home.
Oh, cool.
We stopped. I can't really, probably in the 50s. I'm not sure, but it's been a museum for a really long time.
I want to go to Mexico City.
It is so cool, yeah. And even, you know, those things, like, I wonder what they filmed in Miami, because it's quite similar to, like, beaches in Mexico, I suppose, like the same vibe. I feel that by looking at the extras, it's very possible that it was Mexico. It was that beach in Veracruz, in Mexico.
I think Veracruz. I think I read somewhere that was a filming location.
Yeah, because you can really see, like, it's kind of like the extras look Mexican, so that's how I can tell.
Yeah, it says Boca del Rio, Veracruz.
Yeah,
that's what it says. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It says the church is the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the is it Valle?
Del Valle, yeah. Yeah, so that's an actual church that's still there. But that neighborhood is very close to Roma. So yeah, that's fine. But I'm talking about the statue, you know, of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
That's not like a real thing. That doesn't exist in Mexico.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I really like how it's very, like, fancy at the Capulet side, but then it seems like Romeo hangs out in like a grungy, like dirty pool hall and like a beach, and like he's rich because I mean I think they're both of the same like socioeconomic level, but it just seems like all of his friends are way more like down to earth. She's really young though, like she doesn't really have any friends, just the nurse Juliet.
Yeah.
So we don't really know, like, what, you know, if she has friends at school or, like, I'm assuming she goes to school because she had I think she had, like, an outfit on, like a uniform, like she was going to school, so.
Oh, that's right,
but it seemed like she was out of school. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah, I love.
And the music, obviously, is so great.
Yeah, I mean, the music is incredible, but I just love the whole vibe. Like, it's very decadent, you know? Like, the beach is sort of run down, and people that are hanging out there, it's not like a fancy place, like you said, you know? It's like locals and sort of like, I don't know. I'm not going to say prostitutes, but you kind of get that vibe. It's kind of like a really decadent place, you know?
Well, the production designer said they wanted to make it feel like Mexico City, Miami, and Venice Beach. Like, those were, that's what they kind of wanted it to feel like. It definitely feels more like Venice Beach in the 90s or 80s, because Venice was like, I mean, Venice is still, I'm not sure exactly right now, but when I lived there, it's like a grungier California beach. It's not it's not Malibu. It's not like Santa Monica is very touristy, but it's definitely more of like the grungy, like a more grungy scene, I guess. But still not cheap though. I mean, it's not like dirt cheap either. So it's kind of weird, but I can see, I guess, the way Venice was like a bit even more grungy. I can see like that aspect of it, like the boardwalk and things, like the way that vibe kind of feels. But it's really cool.
Yeah. I love photography when they're at the beach, actually. I think it's just way cooler than like when they're at the party. I mean, the party's cool too, but it's just very different, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. I had that as one of my standout performances when like we're talking about the actors.
Let's talk about music.
Yeah. The song Number One Crush from Garbage, they play that on the radio all the time. I'll definitely link the Spotify playlist in the notes too, because it's an amazing soundtrack. I'm sure most people have probably heard it. They had 2 soundtracks. I have the second one, which is all instrumental. It's great. I have it on CD. I don't know if it was ever uploaded to any Spotify or whatever, but it's great. It's just a lot of there's a really great opera song at the end during the death scene. That's really good. That's on there. It's literally all of the instrumental music throughout. It's really good.
Well, that sounds amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's just funny to think that we had CDs and and I played that over and over, all the time. Especially when it came out, you would just play 10 times a day, every day.
Yeah.
Songs. But it's also stuff that I mean, I'm sure you liked as well. You were into it before, Radiohead and Garbage and
Everclear.
Cardigans.
Yeah, Butthole Surfers. That song, Desiree, that Kissing You song. She had another song that was out before that, but the Kissing You song I know is huge.
Yeah.
There's another really good song. It also has a few bands that I didn't even know, like that band Mundy.
Oh yeah,
I on there.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know them. And there's 1 Inch Punch, who I didn't know. There may be 3 or 4 bands I think on there that I didn't really know. Gavin Friday, I didn't know. I mean, I know the song, but I didn't know who he was. And yeah, but it has such a great mix of both.
It's a eclectic mix for sure. Okay, can we please talk about that song, Everybody's Free, on screen?
Yeah, I know.
That song, okay, I have to say, I'm going to confess that
Did you cry?
Obsessed. We knew all the words. They were
I cried.
I
definitely cried.
You tried? I don't know, but it was really big in Mexico at the time. It was just played. Yeah, and if you went to a party, everyone would get so excited and people would just start singing along. So there'll be some people singing to the first sort of paragraphs, and then someone else would sing the rest. And it was just an essay. It was so long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it just became this thing that we did. We'll bunk off school and go to someone's place and listen to music, and we will play that song. Because it's weird, right? It's a total weird song, but it's also kind of catchy at the same time. I think it's the beat or the melody is quite sweet and pretty.
Mhm.
But I don't know.
The boy who sings it's really young.
Pardon?
The boy who sings it's really young. Is that the same?
No. I think maybe I'm confused. Is this song that is someone is just it's not really a song. It's that the guy is talking. It says something wear sunscreen.
That's Baz Luhrmann. That's Baz Luhrmann, the director. That song came out after the film. That was just a song that Baz Luhrmann had. That's not in the film.
Yeah, but that was in the soundtrack though.
Was it? It wasn't in mine.
Really?
No, it was a weird song that just came out because I remember, I'm going to look it up now. It was always remember to wear sunscreen.
Yeah.
Wear sunscreen. Yeah, I know the song, but I don't, let me see. I don't remember it being on the soundtrack. Yeah, it came out in 99.
Oh no. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Oops. Never mind.
No, it's okay. I mean, it still has to do with it because it was done by the director of Romeo and Juliet. It's a Baz Luhrmann song.
Which is weird.
But it's called Everybody's Free to Wear Sunscreen. But there's the song I'm talking about is the song called Everybody's Free. And it's the one where that little boy's doing it.
Yeah.
like singing it in when they get married. Yeah, and I was like, I cried. And you're like, what?
No, I mean, that song is so beautiful, and that kid just sings it so beautifully. Like, it's really amazing. Like, I feel like if you just listen to the song, you think that it's like an older lady, like a woman. It doesn't even sound like a guy, like a boy.
That's so funny, because I had this total picture of like you and all your friends playing hooky from school.
Oh, no, that is not happening. Sorry.
I was like, what?
The other song was like weird, like phenomenon, like which is kind of silly, but yeah. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. That one I definitely get, because I know that one for sure. Let's talk about just a few of the actors in it. I mean, I'm sure you all know the actors, but do you have any like standout moments of like which actors you really like in it or something like that?
I mean, I honestly think besides Leo, like my favorite actor was Harold Perrineau.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like, he was just amazing. Like, you see him doing different scenes, right? So when he's at the party and he's singing and dancing, that's I think my favorite scene. I have three, but that's one of them. It's just so wild, and he's just so funny, and like, I don't know, he's just amazing in it, really.
I have him down too.
Even when he's at the beach, like when just before they got to the party, and he's wearing, that dress, and he's just kind of like moving.
Oh, the ecstasy scene.
Yeah, when he gives the pill. Yeah. He's an amazing actor. And then obviously when he dies, that's like another incredible scene. I
wrote that down. Yeah, like death scene.
He's just I think I actually cried when he died.
I definitely cried like multiple times throughout the movie.
Yeah. And another scene that obviously is like, I just like it just because it's kind of funny. When Paul Rudd is like dancing with Juliet.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like so random and doing this like funny dance. Everyone is just dancing along to this really slow sort of song, and he's doing like a bizarre dancing, and she's kind of laughing and giggling. He also looks really camp, He
does, yeah. I just wrote Paul Rudd ! Like, that's all I wrote.
I know.
Paul Rudd.
He's in so many films he's in so many films in the 90s as well, but he always plays like a different kind of character, which I love. That's what like.
Talk about how he looks exactly the same now.
Well, he's a little bigger now, but yeah, same as Leo.
But he looks the same though. He's aged so well.
That's true.
It's kind of insane. He's like 50. He looks so good. He looks so good now. I have John Leguizamo as another actor I just thought was so impressive throughout the whole thing. I really didn't think he was like that great of a like dramatic actor. So I don't think I'd ever seen him like that. Harold Perrineau, I wrote down. I saw him in the grocery store in LA, and I was pretty excited.
What?
One of my like LA moments when I saw him like in the Ralphs, which is like the Safeway or something, and I saw him like in the aisle, and I was just like, oh my god, it's Mercutio. But my friend was with me, and they were like, no, that's the guy from Lost. So I was like, I don't watch Lost, but he's in Lost. But that's like what a lot of people know him from, probably. And he's also in Oz, which is really good.
I have not seen him, but I know that it's
It is amazing, but very, very intense. Like, I think it has like 6 seasons. I stopped watching it during the beginning of 5 because it was like too much. Like, it's a lot. It's great, but it's a lot about a jail. Like, it's very intense, but it's a great show. But yeah, he's in that too. And then I wrote down Dash Mihawk, I think is his name. He's Benvolio. He's in the beginning quite a lot, but I just really like him as an actor. I think that might be the first time that I saw him. And I was kind of like, oh, I love him. So what are your scenes? What scenes do you like? The first one was the party scene, right?
Yeah, that's the first one, yeah. The second one, is when, the second one is the fight, obviously, at the beach, because I feel like I love the way they capture that, and like, it's a gloomy day, and it gets really windy, and like, the whole set changes, and,
that was
just
true.
in
Mexico. There was a hurricane in Mexico that was actually real, the weather.
No way. Oh my God.
And it actually changed the set and like fucked up the set, and like that whole thing happened while they were filming it. So I think it's pretty
That's insane, because I kept thinking, like, this doesn't look like a set, but then how did they do that? Because the lighting just changed, and then there is this wind and like rainy thing, like stormy weather. And I did think, how did they do that? Because so far it looked like it was an actual beach, but that makes so much sense now that you said that to me.
Yeah.
But the third one is when Leo goes to the church to see or to be with Juliet, and I love the set so much. I think it's just so beautiful and dreamy with all the candles and the saints and religious like ornaments and stuff. I love that. Like, I feel like not entirely sure whether there's music playing in that scene, because for the most part the entire movie is like basically just music. There's just like music in every scene, right? But I'm not actually sure. If they have some, it's probably really quiet and chill. But
it is. It's on Volume 2. It's on the Volume 2 soundtrack, the instrumental. There is music. It's like there is a song. It's like a very like low kind of operatic voice.
Okay.
Like not low as in like low voice, but like a woman. But it's like the volume is kind of low. But it has like strings and like it's a very like dramatic. But
I love that scene so much, just because of what's happening right in the scene, but also the whole ambience, and the set is just amazing. Like, I would love to recreate that for a photo shoot, you know?
I know, it's really cool.
What about yours? What are yours?
My three are my first scene is when Romeo and Juliet first meet by that fish tank.
Yeah.
I just love how there are no words throughout that whole scene. It's just all like you can just hear everything they're thinking by like how they're looking at each other. And I just love
the color. Right?
No, not in that one. No, not yet. But I just love how they meet. Like, I love how he just sees her eye at first, and then they both, like, their heads both raise at the same time, and I just love the colors, like, how it's that aqua blue, and the fish are, like, neon and blue. Like, I just love how the whole, like, I just love that. I love how they first meet. That was my other one. There's, my second favorite.
I want to interrupt you because I just need to say that I'm quite surprised, because it's such a, like, I don't know, it's very, like, romantic and stuff, and I just didn't think that will be one of your favorite scenes. Like, I'm a little surprised, but that's cool. I learned something new about you today.
Oh, yeah, I really like that. I just like how I think it's filmed. I really just like I like how there's just no words. You know, I sometimes think that words, I mean, and it's really interesting too, because in Shakespeare, like, the words are kind of the key. That kind of is what brings the characters together. But I really like how there are just no words. I think when I was really young, I don't know, I just got it. I was just really like, oh my gosh. I think also it was like this aspirational thing. You're like, oh my gosh, like, I want to fall in love like this, where you just see someone like love at first sight, and like, that's it. You know, 'cause I'm like 13, you know, and like, of course you realize that like life is nothing like that at all. It's like the complete opposite. And it's just like,
exactly. Romance like that, it's just long, like dead.
Yeah. It's just no. But yeah, so I like that scene. My second favorite scene is the scene when Romeo has just pretty much when he finds out from Balthazar that Juliet's dead, and he like is in Mantua, like in exile, and I just love the whole scene where he like breaks down, and then when he's just like crying and screaming, and then he's like, you know, I defy you, stars, and then I love the whole scene where he's just racing back into town. Like,
Yeah.
I love like him driving. He's like super manic and he like has to get to her. The cops are like the helicopters chasing him. Like he's getting the poison. Like I just love that whole, like, it's super fast now. Like it's just ramped up and you're like headed towards that last act. I just love that scene so much. I love how he's like, super just like, whoa. And he's just on it. He's gone, takes the car. And then the death scene is my favorite. Like just the whole exchange when he sees her. And then when she, like, wakes up and they kind of see each other, and then you just know, like, it's just doomed. And I love the end when they, like, the camera lifts up and they just look like they're in the stars with all the candles. And then it shows her meeting, like, like, montage and, like, that whole thing. I was just like, oh, this movie's so good. I was like, I love this movie so much. So,
yeah, I mean, one amazing scene after the other, like...
Yeah.
I thought... I mean, I know it's a little corny and everything, but all the scenes where they're kissing in the pool and then in her bedroom, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like those are like really like up there with like best sort of kissing scenes.
Yeah, they have a lot of chemistry. It almost feels like, I mean, let's be real, it kind of feels like The Notebook's up there when he's driving that raining boat or whatever the hell, when you're just like, oh my god. And to find out that Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams hated each other through that whole... They didn't start dating until after the movie came out. But if you go back and research The Notebook, Ryan Gosling did not get along with her at first. Like, they didn't even want to read scenes together. He was like, I can't do this. And there's one scene, I think, where they're fighting where he's, like, actually mad at her. Like, he actually doesn't like her. But then I was like, well, you could never tell, because, man, they look like they're, like, meant to be together if anyone is. Because
no, but you know what that is, right? It's like when you have feelings for someone and you don't really know what to do with them, so you think you hate them, but actually you love them,
Yeah, it's like kindergarten.
Yeah, the boy will be pulling your hair and bullying you, and you're like, oh no, why is he so mean? It's like he's actually in love with you,
Yeah, like terrible.
That's how they show their love, like by hitting you and pulling your hair.
God, it starts so early. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, I mean, it definitely is. I think this movie is definitely like one of the most like tragic and romantic stories, obviously, of all time. But
yeah, I
love it. I still love it. I feel like my mind hasn't really changed much since watching it when I was 13. Like, I still am like, oh, I love it. It's so great.
Yeah, same. It's really just a classic now, It's really one of those films, like, it's, you can't really say it's like a cult classic because it's not. I mean, everyone is seen it, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, most people, I think, yeah.
It's really just become like a classic.
Yeah, it really has. And also a big, huge props to the director and the whole team having like a diverse cast too. Because they easily could have made everyone white and then that would have just been it. So it's really great that they have like John Leguizamo in there. They've got Harold Perrineau in there. I mean, they just have like I think the maid is Latin too. The one who.
Oh yeah, she is.
She was in Harry Potter. She was the plant teacher.
Yeah. It has an incredible cast because that's the one and the actor that plays the priest. He's so. I mean, he passed, but he was an incredible actor. I mean, he did Hamlet. He did In the Name of the Father. He did like so many incredible films. He
did Usual Suspects.
Yeah, he was in a lot of TV shows. And he was active pretty much into 2011 when he died. But yeah, he's an incredible actor. And I mean, I'm not really a huge fan of Claire Danes now because of Homeland, because she's kind of like, I got so sick of her, like, in the show. Because I used to watch it.
I've never seen Homeland.
Yeah, I really liked her first, but then she became really annoying. I really didn't like her character, so I'm kind of like, oh, no, I don't really like you. But in Romeo and Juliet, she's amazing, you know?
Apparently, Natalie Portman was supposed to play her.
I'm glad she didn't.
Thank God she didn't, because apparently they said when they did screen tests together, she was like 14 and it looked like he was like molesting her. Like he just looked, they were like too far apart age-wise that it just like didn't like look right on screen. And then the girl who played Buffy, Sarah Michelle Gellar, I think she was also considered for it. And I think it was Leo who actually chose Sardines because he saw how great of an actor she was in My So-Called Life. Like, she won the Golden Globe. Yeah, so he knew that she was young, but she was, like, really good.
Did you know how old she was? Do you know?
How old she was? I think she was, like, 16 or 17. Because I know Leo, I think he was 20.
Okay.
Let me see. He was 22.
Mm-hmm.
And she was 17? 16? Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, she was young. Yeah, she looks really young, yeah. But yeah. Oh, that's so great. I'm glad we got to review this one. I'm glad I saw it up on the Stars account so that we could review it. Now things are harder. My friend told me the other day, I was like, I'm trying to get my friends to watch this movie so we can do an episode. And he's like, well, Lauren, you're the producer now, so you kind of have to make sure people have what they need in order to produce the show. So I was like, okay, so now I have to find a way to get films to people so we can review them if they're not online or anything. So
thank you so much for getting me an account to watch it. That's really sweet of you.
Yeah, definitely. For sure. I'm excited. Well, we don't know what we're going to do on the next one. We might do something of music, or wait, we might just do a bonus episode on Tiger King because, like, why the hell not? And I'll just make it a bonus. We'll make it a bonus and we'll just talk for an hour about how insane it really fucking is.
Yeah, I think people like that. I mean, I can tell you that even my friends from the UK are watching the show.
Yeah. I didn't think I'd be into it. I saw the trailer and I was like, I can't watch this. This is crazy. And then you watch 10 minutes and you're like, holy shit, I need to keep watching. Yeah, I mean, I can't even, I'm going to save all my comments. Yeah, we need to save it for the next one, so it'll be really good. Yeah. But it's been super fun. And I guess we will see you on the next one. Yeah, thanks for having me. Bye. Bye.